Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Inside Antarctica, the expedition experience with Antarctica21 webinar. The idea today is to go over what Antarctica21 has been doing in the last couple of seasons and what is coming in terms of the news. But today, we want to share a little bit more about the inside experience that Antarctica21 provides when doing these amazing expeditions in the Antarctic Peninsula and also in the subantarctic region as well. There's still people coming in, so we'll allow them one more minute and then we can start. Okay, perfect. I think we are all here today. Again, welcome and thank you for joining. Today we have an exciting session. I think this is the first time that we're going to be doing a webinar that is a bit different. I think you guys know me. I'm Ben Garcia, market manager for Australia and New Zealand, managing all the commercial side for Antarctica21. But the exciting news is today that we have Jeff. Okay, so Jeff, maybe you can introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are and what you can share with us today.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to be here. I'm coming from British Columbia, Canada. That's where I'm right now. And yeah, my background has been marine biology. I used to work in marine environmental consulting, and then I got into guiding 11 years ago, and I've been guiding in the Antarctic for 8 years. And so I'm coming together with you guys to try to depict an expedition and what it's like to be both the guides and the guests, and hopefully be able to give you a good idea of what we offer in that way.
Perfect, excellent. So today we'll go through a little bit of different topics and of course an introduction to what Antarctica21 is. I think most of the people that I'm seeing that is connected are familiar with what we do in the Antarctic region. Very exciting news about our fleet with the new vessel coming in the next couple of seasons. Um, but the most important part for this session is what makes Antarctica21 different and magic moments on the ice, which Jeff is going to share with us some of the what it means to work with Antarctica21, what is being on the field on the ice, and of course some of the experiences that we can achieve when traveling with Antarctica21. Then I'll go through some of the key itineraries, some of the sales tools, and the next steps, and of course questions from you guys if there's any. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's start moving. So skip the Drake Passage and explore the seventh continent. This is how Antarctica21 actually was created as a concept in 2003 and is still very strong concept today. Okay, so who is Antarctica21? Is a 100% expert in this niche. Antarctica21 is the pioneer of flying, of the concept of flying to reach the Antarctic Peninsula to be able to explore this amazing destination. So the idea is to combine these seamless flights with unforgettable expeditions in terms of cruising on board of our vessels. But I think the main thing that separates Antarctica21 to the rest of the industry is the flight advantages. And for this, I think we can discuss this in a lot of detail, but in a very specific point is being able to reach the Antarctic Peninsula from Punta Arenas in Chile in a 2-hour flight to King George Island and have the priority to do this. So mainly we're going to be operating one flight per departure, which creates an amazing advantage in terms of having all the passengers in one go from Punta Arenas into the Antarctic Peninsula, and then also have the priority of the flights when there are delays and problems. At the end, we're going to check a little bit of the stats in terms of success ratio of reaching Antarctica. Um, on the day that is scheduled for our in each of our seasons. But today, but again, this is the two components that create who is Antarctica21. So experts on the niche, and of course the Antarctic flight advantages. Okay. On top of that, the small-scale boutique expeditions, so only running expeditions with a maximum of 76 passengers on each voyage. It creates a very close-knit, exclusive atmosphere and unparalleled access to all of these areas and landing spots in the Antarctic Peninsula, subantarctic regions as well. But here we want to concentrate on the air cruises to the Antarctic Peninsula. Okay, it's important to understand that if you're not familiar with the regulation that IATO sets up to manage tourism in Antarctica, so only a maximum of 100 people, including the expedition leaders, can be on the ice at the same time, which means for us, with 76 passengers and up to 14 expedition leaders on each expedition, we can disembark everyone at the same time. Okay, and this maximizes the time that your guest or of you, if you decide to actually travel with us, maximize the time that you can explore on the ice when you are there. Also, we are local, and I think this creates a big advantage as well. So today we have the Explorer House Private Club, which is our private expedition club in Punta Arenas. So this is exclusive for Antarctica21 passengers, and this allows us to provide a very seamless, experience when you are on the Patagonian component of the trip. Okay, so the first night and the last night of every air cruise and polar circle expedition will be starting and finishing in Punta Arenas. Okay, when it's a fly air or an air cruise, and we have this dedicated space. Of course, all your meals are here, but also the lectures and preparing yourself to this amazing adventure. Okay. And again, we are local, so headquarters of Antarctica21 is in Punta Arenas. We are based there. We have a commercial team around the world, but the roots are from Patagonia, from Punta Arenas, and this, has a very important impact on the way we operate from our home in Punta Arenas all the way to the Chilean based in King George Island. And of course, sustainable expeditions. I think this has been one of the key focuses on the last couple of years for Antarctica21, biosecurity protocols and minimizing the impact on the environment, technological innovation on the polar vessels, the Explorer House, the incorporation of e-fuel in Zodiac operations, and of course more. We're part of IATO, we are carbon neutral, and we're part of LATA Sustainable Travel as well. Okay, so there's a lot of information about this. If you need more, please feel free to let me know, and I'll be happy to share all of these details as well with you. But I think crossing the Drake Passage, and I think the main concept when this product was created or with this experience was created was to avoid what we're seeing on the screen, right? So it can be very rough. Of course, you have people that will experience the opposite, but in general terms, around 60 to 65% of the time, you can encounter rough seas on the Drake Passage. And the idea here, it can be 2 days of crossing, 50 plus hours of sailings, chance of heavy storms, and potential seasickness, discomfort, distress, and even injury. So these are the type of things that we can avoid when we are actually flying. Okay. And for this, Antarctica21 pioneered the air cruise model, as I mentioned before, in 2003. And the idea here is that from Punta Arenas, where our headquarters are, we take a charter flight with DAP, okay, all the way to King George Island. This is a 2-hour flight, and then explore the Antarctic Peninsula for 5 to 7 nights on board of each one of our vessels when we do an air cruise, okay, even up to a polar circle as well. Then we come back to King George Island, and then we can fly back as well into Punta Arenas and continue exploring the South American continent as well if needed. But the main benefits of this way of traveling is, of course, the comfort, avoiding the storms and the rough seas of the Drake Passage. Of course, the speed, reaching Antarctica in a 2-hour flight, okay, so faster and in comfort. Exclusivity, small ship, yacht-like experience, and this comes from dedicated vessels for maximum 76 passengers. And one of the main things that create this or make this possible is the one flight, one expedition operation. So we minimize possible disruptions due to rapidly changing weather conditions. So to explain this a little bit better, we have priority to fly every time there's an opportunity. Every time you want to reach King George Island by air, you need a 12 window of no fog, no low clouds in King George Island. So the pilot actually visually has to see where he's landing. And when we have confirmation that this is possible, we actually go and make this happen on day 2 of any classic Antarctica or Polar Circle expedition.
And can I add a little bit? Just a little
Please.
bit of personal experience. It's been, well, you see a lot of air cruises starting now, and they take more than one flight to board. And that one flight is like key to being able to keep on schedule. I've seen us come in last minute hoping to get a flight out. The weather windows tend to be very short, and typically only one flight can come in, one flight can get out. And A21 can walk right in, and I've seen us pick up our guests and leave, and the other ships might be there for a couple more days at the worst. But it does. I know if you haven't done an air cruise before, how much of a big deal it is to have only one flight in, one flight out for a ship. It's a huge deal for keeping on schedule.
Yeah. And I think it's part of the main things that make Antarctica 21 leader on this type of experiences and the actual pioneer on this segment. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, only one flight per expedition, and of course, the boutique vessel purpose built for Antarctic air cruises. Okay, so the vessels that Antarctica 21 is running are built in Chile, okay, and purposely built for Antarctic air cruises. Okay, so a long autonomy, so capability to stay for longer periods of time in the Antarctic Peninsula without going back to South America to refuel. And of course, the flights in and flight out allow us to have, a very good operation within that what we are in the Antarctic Peninsula. So let me show you a little bit about the fleet. I think today we all understand where Antarctica 21 is, but let me show you a little bit of details of what the industry uh, is like today. So the Antarctic Treaty regulates all human activities in Antarctica, and there are two main essential rules that we like to share with you today. So Antarctic ships with more than 500 passengers, they don't do landings. So they can go to the Antarctic Peninsula, but there are no activities outside the ship. Okay. And the other key rule is what we mentioned before is a maximum of 100 people or 100 passengers may be ashore from a vessel at any one given time. Okay. Um, Jeff, what is here is 100 passengers or is 100 people? Is this including the expedition leaders or not?
It's 100 passengers plus expedition.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's good to know. So we can consider large ships, 500 passengers or more, medium-sized ships between 101 and 500, and small ships less than 100. Okay. So, and of course, we are on the small ship category for these specifications. But the Magellan Explorer, our main vessel today, launched in 2019, purpose-built for Antarctica 21, made in Chile. Um, our boutique vessel for fly and cruise expeditions. Yeah, fantastic vessel. I think maybe Jeff, you can give us a little bit of what it means to, you have been working here and operating and going on the Magellan Explorer around the Antarctic Peninsula. Maybe share a little bit with us what it means to have a vessel like this when you have to, take passengers and explorers into the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. The ship, I've worked on other ships before, but never like a purpose-built vessel for this exact reason. And when you have a purpose-built like vessel like this, everything just seems easier. So, for instance, just a really beautiful restaurant to be able to see outside at the same time. The bridge is open for all guests, so they can come up and view what the captain's doing and see have a really great vantage point. The the rails around the ship allow you to get eventually anywhere you want around the ship on any angle, up or down. And then in the ship, you have a gym, you have a sauna, you have um, uh, there's a lab, which we do a few things there. There's a library, and getting in and out of the Zodiacs is really easy. And they've thought this through because in certain weather, sometimes it's really hard to get on if you're in the stern or if you're only able to get out on one side of the ship. But we have both sides accessible and we can switch on a dime. So getting people off the ship, it's just easy and seamless. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, well, this vessel has different type of cabins, from 18 all the way to 46 square meters. Um, there are four portholes on this vessel, which, as the name of the cabin suggests, they have portholes. Okay, but all the other cabin categories they have private balconies. Okay, so the veranda, the deluxe verandas, all the way to the suites. So you can see the level of comfort, and it really depends on the level of comfort that your clients want to have when they are on board. Okay. Common areas, of course, very comfortable. Observation deck is huge. You have an amazing view to everything that is happening outside. And then, of course, being able to be outside as well to enjoy the views from first hand. Yeah, dining room, different facilities, gym, sauna. So everything is there to make it a real comfortable experience. I don't think too many people use the gym, Jeff. What do you think? I think we spend a lot of time on the ice and people want to maximize that. But yeah, maybe someone is have used it at some point. But I don't know what's your experience on that one.
I would say maybe 5 to 10% of guests tend to use it if they're, yeah, if they're used to a very active lifestyle and they want some sort of outlet. That's it. Usually in the evenings or early mornings, but during the day, like expeditions are really tight, so we get people to shore. And I'll talk about it in a bit, but they're pretty busy during the day. It's usually times that they can find after dinner or before the expedition starts in the morning. But yeah, about 5 to 10%. But yeah, it's there for people. The
Yeah,
sauna is definitely something that people have used a lot of, though. It's a nice way to unwind after a trip, after a day.
perfect. Yeah. And then the good news is from this coming season, we'll have Magellan Discoverer. This vessel is being built now. I think all the structure is ready, but this is the America's first hybrid electric polar cruise ship, purpose-built for Antarctica 21. And I think in general terms, it's for the same capacity in terms of passengers as the Magellan Explorer, but everything is a bit bigger. So I will show you a little bit more details of the Magellan Explorer here. So on this vessel, all cabins will have private balconies, which is something that the market was actually requesting from us. Very comfortable common areas as well. Observation deck. What is happening outside is what we're really interested in. These expeditions are made for that, but never compromising in comfort as well. So yeah, common areas and the cabins, and here we have renders. As soon as we have official images, we will share with you. But in the meantime, we can share these renders so you can actually start booking this vessel for your clients as well. And let's talk a little bit about what makes Antarctica 21 different. Okay, designed for boutique and sustainable exploration in Antarctica. That's what Antarctica 21 is, pioneering this concept. But it's the expedition team. And I think here I'll let Jeff, talk a little bit more about. We say there are more than 20 years of experience. That's Antarctica 21, and then we have a staff to guest ratio that is 1 to 6. But I think, Jeff, we were discussing the other day about combined numbers of years of experience and the expedition team, what it means, what that is working with Antarctica 21. Please let us know a little bit more details and your experience with them as well.
Yeah, the expedition team is unlike any other. I've worked, like I said, with a lot of other companies all over the world, And A21 always does an amazing job at picking the perfect expedition team. I don't know how they do it, but we become these seamless kind of family team every time. And I just got off in January with I did 12 trips, and it was like leaving your family behind. And because the expedition team feels so comfortable together and they all know what they have to do, it doesn't seem like work, and it transfers to the guests. The guests pick that up, and they just kind of feel like they're part of the whole gang as well. And the other thing is that we get to sit down at dinner time or lunch and chat with the guests as well. So we really kind of just we we fuse ourselves together with the guests, and along the way, we teach them all about Antarctica. And I think the next couple of slides might have a little bit more information.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a typical day on an Antarctica 21 trip, we have a breakfast buffet, a regular, yeah, lots of food as an option. And then we have an expedition planned right after breakfast, usually 8:30, 9 o'clock. We either plan to get off the ship to go for a Zodiac cruise or to go to shore. And our shore landings, we're looking for penguin colonies. We're looking for, like, the expedition leader is or trying to plan a trip that will encompass everything we can potentially see in Antarctica, including all the three different species of penguins on the peninsula, seals, whales. So every day has got a plan to cross another thing off the list. And that includes the first expedition in the morning, coming back for lunch. And then after lunch, well, during lunch, we're repositioning to the next place. And then we'll get out and do another expedition. So that could be a Zodiac cruise to go see whales. Um, and then, yeah, whales, seals, or going back to shore or to a viewpoint somewhere on land. Who knows? And then we'll come back. Everybody gets back on board. And like Ben was saying, everybody can get off the ship at the same time, whether that's on a Zodiac cruise or going to shore. Then when we come back, we'll have a full-on debrief of the day with lectures. So we have historians, geologists and glaciologists, biologists, ornithologists, and they'll touch on their topics in front of the guests and cover the information we need to know about what we saw that day. It's not the only time that we educate our guests. We'll have little sessions before lunch if there's room and time. And then on the Zodiac cruises and on shore, the guides are just constantly bombarding guests with facts and information as they ask or if they're listening. Then after dinner, up in the lounge, we'll usually have something planned, a casual talk, or we call them bar talks. It's not a full-on academic lecture. It's sometimes a story that one of the guides has about an Antarctic expedition or their experience down here, which again kind of brings those guests into the family and gets to know us a lot more. That's a typical day.
Perfect. And Jeff, what about number? How many expedition leaders on an air cruise on board of the Magellan Explorer?
Well, each ship has one expedition leader, but
Yeah,
then all the expedition staff. So we typically
yeah,
have 13 to 14 staff, and that
14.
is the ratio that we consider the 6-to-1
Yeah,
to the guests. So
okay.
one expedition staff per guest, which is incredible for the industry.
Perfect. And how many nationalities do you reckon there be in the expedition staff?
Oh, all over. Probably at any given point, we have about 6 or 7 nationalities in this
Yeah,
expedition staff. Yeah.
okay, perfect. And English is our official language, correct?
English is the official language. We have Chinese translators on board as well. And well, we all usually have a Spanish translator as well.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Ben already touched on the no rotations for landings, the 100 people on shore at a time. We have no problem with that. It's just how fast can we get people on shore? And the beauty is you get dropped off on the shore. The expedition leader will give you a debrief on what you're going to experience on shore, where to go, and then how long you have. And it's kind of funny because it just go explore until you're done and then come on back and we'll bring you back to the ship. It's not like I've never seen anybody say oh, you only have an hour on shore, you better hurry and go see everything. The regular schedule is you come, you experience it, and you go back when you're ready. within a given time. Like it's usually about 2 or 3 hours on shore. And then we have to make it back for lunch and to reposition. So that's our limiter. But so Ben had touched on a ship being 4 or 5, well, under 500 people could get to shore. But for instance, if you're a 400 passenger vessel, you have to book out a site for the entire day because you just can't get everybody there on land in the morning. You have to be there all day to rotate people out. So it's just one of those things. A21 can get to 2 sites in a day pretty easily and have lots of time on shore.
Yeah. Up to three
Um,
hours is a lot of time per
it's a
landing.
lot of time, but if you're a photographer, that'll go fast.
Okay. Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
but yeah, you can definitely get your shot.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
then touching on the onboard atmosphere, I think I did touch on a few things, but there is also a gift shop, which is it satisfies a lot of people's uh, itch to shop. But Antarctica 21 has an incredible gift shop with local artists contributing, which has made it very unique from what I've seen on ship gift shops, anyways. And then the library is a very nice place for quiet time and also to pick up a book and learn things yourself if you didn't want to look it on the computer or something like that. The bridge is always open for guests to go up and check out what's going on. The navigation is always very interesting, especially around ice. And then we touch on the sauna in the gym, and then the bar is open up on the top deck with beautiful views, and you can go up there and enjoy a drink and just watch Antarctica go by, which is also a favorite thing to do.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
checking the feedback from passengers of the last season, and a lot of people say what you mentioned before, the meals with the expedition staff, and being able to have that direct contact is one of the, I don't know, one of the highlights when you are on board or having a specific meal and meeting. And I assume for you guys it's the same, meeting people that are interested in the destination. So maybe you can let us know a little bit more about that because it seems to be a very important part of the experience.
Oh, it's important for the guests, but it's also really important for the guides. Like any guide that I've worked with, they get a lot of energy and excitement out of the guests' responses. So getting to know them well, and then also being able to share information about yourself to them personally, it changes your whole approach to the day, and it just overall, I find the vibe just becomes very positive, and guests end up by the second or third day, uh, usually bonding with some of the guides that they've had chances to eat with, which breaks the ice and lets them enjoy things a lot more and ask questions, feel more comfortable asking questions, which is a big thing we find if you don't break that ice with some guests that they keep those questions inside or they don't express kind of things that they'd like to do or see. But when you start opening that channel up, especially with dinners, it just yeah, you find out lots of things. And for instance, I've found things out at dinners with some guests that I've translated things that they wanted to see or do to the expedition leader to try to make that happen in the trip. So yeah, it's
Right?
great. And the education program. So my job on board isn't always a photographer. My background is education, so I coordinate the education program on board. And one thing is we have a citizen science program that we have a science boat go out once a trip, sometimes two. And it's in coordination with Scripps Institute. We go and grab phytoplankton samples. And for our kids and some adults, like this is amazing to be able to do Antarctic research and know that that data is being transferred to a scientist that's going to publish the data, which is for kids I've seen just can't wait to get out on these boats. And then, like I said, the education program also continues on the ship with not only on the Zodiac cruises, but also before lunch. If we have time, we slot it in either in the lounge or in the lab. We have a photo coach on board, and they'll usually set up in the lab and download the photos and just go through their whole process, which for the photographers, really nice to see. It's just opened up Lightroom edits and talking through choices of photos that it you can just come in and watch that happen and ask questions. And I've seen real positive feedback from that. And then after the day's over, like I said, we come back for the recaps, and that tends to have 3 to 4 mini lectures, 5, 10 minutes long each per topic, right up into where the expedition leader gets up and goes over kind of how cool the day was and then what to expect for the next day and timings. And then we go off to dinner. And yeah, I think,
Perfect.
yeah. All right. Let's talk
All
about some
right.
of the experiences on the ice.
Yeah, I think this is the best part of the of our presentation today. So the idea is that Jeff has actually been very good with us and being able to share some of his images, but the idea is to go through the images and being able to discuss what's the context to actually get to these images and how Antarctica 21 makes it possible as well.
Be conscious of the time because I can go on story time for a while, but these are
Yeah.
our Zodiacs. They're pretty industry standard. They're Mark V Zodiacs, but this is our magic carpet to the Antarctic. And you're right on water level. Like I said, our gangway is getting onto the tenders. This is where we get guests onto these inflatable boats, and then they sit on the sides and we head out with them. And typically, usually we have 10 people on each Zodiac plus the driver, and we go off into the unknown. Next slide. So from the Zodiacs, there's depending on the site that we're going to, like this is an old shipwreck. Actually, it was an old whaling vessel and had a lot of oil on board, and the the ship anchored there accidentally started a fire on board and it burnt, but nobody got hurt. They all got off. But this is the ship we come and check out. Zodiac cruises. From there, we kind of cruise the shorelines, see the different wildlife. There's usually seals, penguins on ice or on the shore, and potentially sometimes whales in the water, or yeah, a variety of whales, minke whales, humpback whales, orcas if we're lucky. But yeah, we cruise around on Zodiacs, and the guides are pointing out what they're seeing and teaching them what they're seeing and why they're important. And then, yeah, our shore landings, I would say we probably do about a 40, 40%, 60% split between cruises and landings, more so on the landings. But when we're on shore, we try to get to each species colony. This is a Gen 2 colony that we're at. We'll try to get to a chinstrap colony and an Adelie colony. And when you're on shore, we set up a flag route. You can see one of the flags off to the left. Makes it really easy for the guests to follow, keeps them on track, and so they aren't wandering around into any unsafe places. And then they can easily come across a bunch of penguins walking by them. And in this case, these four penguins are, I don't know where they were going because they were going up and there were no colonies up. They were all down. So they were just coming up to see us. And yeah, these beautiful, spectacular days, like the scenery around the Antarctic Peninsula, it's unlike anywhere else in the world. We have a kayak group going out. So Antarctica 21 has a kayak program. It's first come, first serve when you sign up, when you book. But when you do book and you're on the kayak program, each excursion, you have that option to go out and kayak or go to shore, but it tends to be one or the other. Sometimes you have a little bit of time as a kayaker to come back on shore and do the experience that everybody else saw, um, if there's time. A lot of times the kayakers just stay out because it is magical in a way, amazing. And in this case, you can see a little humpback whale tail diving off to the bottom left as they're heading over to get people in the kayaks.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, there you go, right on the water. This is pretty common. I don't want to say like as the season progresses, as more whales enter the peninsula, the kayaking experiences get more and more magical. And the guides are incredible. They'll keep them into the safe zone, and watching these massive whales from that water level uh, can be scary, but also just exhilarating.
Yeah. Important to mention that when you're booking the kayaking, as Jeff mentioned, is there's a limited number of kayaks on board and it's recommended to book in advance. So if your clients want to actually do the kayaking program, it's better to actually go when confirm that when you are actually booking your cabin.
And that said, when they get on board, there is still a waiting list that if guests get on board and they decide that they don't want to do the kayaking, if you get on that waiting list early, then there's potential that you might get bumped into it.
Great.
Uh, so this is a picture. This is a good memory of mine because we have such a small vessel. low number of guests. This is in South Georgia. Uh, this was 4 a.m. in the morning. The expedition leader decided if you wanted to get up and go to shore early for the sunrise, we do it. And you could come back
Wow.
for breakfast and then go back out after breakfast. Or you could sleep right in, have breakfast, and then go to shore after. That was how relaxed it was. But to be able to get up 4 a.m., get in a Zodiac, go to shore with, I wish I had the bigger wide out picture of it, but there's 100,000 king penguins here with a beautiful sunrise. And guests just, yeah, marveling at this sight and quietly taking their pictures, taking it all in, coming back for breakfast, and then coming back to shore after breakfast. I mean, you can't really do that with a big ship. It was, yeah, magical
Wow.
moment.
And that means, Jeff, that on that day you had three landings?
Yeah, well, technically, yeah, if you did go in the morning, not three different sites, two
No.
different sites, but you could go to shore three different times. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and Zodiac cruises can take you to some wild places. This is columnar jointing, very similar to a Giant's Causeway, if you know that. This is spectacular, really dramatic sight, but we tend to try to get here maybe at the end of some of the trips if the weather permits. Really nice place to send off before we before guests fly out. But this is called Inborough Hill, and it blows people's minds when they get here. If this picture doesn't, then when you're actually there looking up at these columns, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, wow.
And yeah, the I was speaking about the the tenders being the Zodiacs being our magic carpet ride into the magic of the Antarctic Peninsula, but so is the Magellan Explorer and soon to be the Discoverer. These ships take us into these magical places, drop us off, but this is going right into the Lemaire Channel, early morning start, very hard passage to navigate through because it fills up with ice. And when you get to the narrow gap in the middle, it's only about 200 and 300 meters wide. It's not very wide. And then you get through, and then you're a little bit further south. But it's also nicknamed the Kodak Gap way back in the day when they were saying it was like the most scenic places in the world. You can take a lot of Kodak film and take a lot of pictures of it. This is a good example of why. And yeah, this is Magellan Explorer parked in some sea ice. And it's always special to be able to park in sea ice. It's not lasting too long these days, as it is definitely warming on the peninsula. But the sea ice, this is this year's sea ice. It's only about a meter-ish thick. You could walk on it, but in this case, we stuck the boat into it, stopped the engines, and we did our polar plunge. Definitely a highlight of about maybe sometimes half, sometimes 30% of the guests wanting to jump into the 1 to 0 degree water. It can be 0 degrees because it's salty.
Wow.
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff.
you're welcome.
We're gonna go and check our main itineraries now. I think we have today the Antarctic Air Cruises itineraries, which is our classic Antarctica. This is 7 nights, 8 days. Then our Polar Circle, which is same dynamics as a classic Antarctica. It's just 2 days longer within the Antarctic Peninsula, with the main aim to actually reach the Polar Circle. Okay. And then we have our sea voyages, which is the Falklands, 9 nights, 10 days, Falklands and South Georgia. And I think this is one of the, as Jeff was mentioning, one of the, I would say, main destinations in the subantarctic region. And then Patagonia and Chilean fjords, 10 nights, 11 days. But let me show you a little bit more in detail each one of them. So the classic Antarctica, which is our main expedition, most of the departure dates will be considered a classic Antarctica, so 7 nights, 8 days, with 5 nights on board. Okay, so first night and last night of the expedition, you are actually sleeping in Punta Arenas in Chile and Patagonia, and then the 2 hour flight to King George Island to actually sail for 5 nights, 6 days on board of the Magellan Explorer, and in the future Magellan Discoverer as well. Then the Polar Circle, as I mentioned, is the same dynamic and the same concept as the classic Antarctica. Instead of 5 nights on board, it's 7 nights on board with the aim to actually cross the Polar Circle the Antarctic Circle latitude. Okay, and this is a limited number of departures. It's mainly two on each season, 2 or 3 per vessel. Okay, so when your clients want this one, I think it's booking early is important. Okay, this is an more in-depth exploration. Explore further, and you see more, of course. Of course, the Antarctic Peninsula, here we have a little bit of the experience the wildlife and the experience that you will encounter when traveling around the Antarctic Peninsula. Then Patagonian and Chilean fjords sea voyage. This is a fantastic itinerary, 10 nights, 11 days from Puerto Montt all the way to Ushuaia, okay, through the fjords of Patagonia in the Chilean side. So very, very dramatic geography, iconic national parks, iconic towns, so this is, and also doing the landings with the expedition staff. So yeah, I would say a very good option for traveling around Patagonia. This is some of the spots and areas that we can visit. Of course, you have Caleta Tortel, Torres del Paine, yeah, and some iconic areas within the southernmost tip of the continent as well. Okay. Then we have a 9 nights, 10 days Falklands sea voyage. This is departing from Ushuaia all the way to Falklands. Is of course wilderness expedition, in-depth exploration of the archipelago, and only one departure in April. Okay, so something to consider as well if you have clients looking to visit the Falklands Islands. Yeah, emperor penguins, and I think a sub-Antarctic region, a little bit different to the Antarctic Peninsula, of course, but yeah, a lot of things to do within the Falklands as well. And let's go to the sales tools and next steps. So we have a competitive support, commission and support. Of course, we are here. We have a team, FIT sales group, incentives, charter opportunities, co-marketing support. So the idea is that to work together, to create these opportunities within your clientele, within your database. If there's any marketing or commercial action that you want to develop with Antarctica21, please get in touch. Let me know. We can put something together. We have actually some budget to put some actions together for your clients. So it will be a great way to actually spread the message, within your clients that are looking for something different to travel to the Antarctic Peninsula, a sub-Antarctic region, and we can work it out how to make it happen. Okay. We have our agent portal, so here you can download all the marketing material, all the marketing kits. Of course, check availability for each one of the departures, and if it's a group, we can discuss it together. What is the best option to have strong commercial and competitive conditions? So I'm here based in Sydney, and we have a travel consultant for Australia and New Zealand based in the Philippines. So the idea is that we can, answer, and book those cabins when you need them as fast as we can, and make sure that we don't lose any sales. Okay. And for the people that are actually participating on this webinar, and we have a 5% bonus commission with Antarctica21. So for bookings that are coming, for new bookings that will come after this webinar, we'll have a 5% bonus commission. So this, I will send the details to you guys to be able to share the terms and conditions of the 5% bonus commission. But the idea is, again, to have an incentive to keep promoting Antarctica21, keep working together. Again, we have this bonus in terms of commission. We have some budget to do events and commercial actions and marketing actions. So get in touch. Let's see what we can build together and keep pushing within the market. Okay. Questions? I don't know if there are any questions and answer. I have one question on the chat that I'm going to address. Okay, is from William. In terms of sustainability, what about pollution from aircraft flying into Antarctica? Okay, it's a good question. I think we'll have to compare what it means to burn 2 days of fuel on board of a vessel compared to 2 hours of jet fuel on an aircraft. So I would say I don't have the specific answer in terms of how much carbon dioxide is actually producing the aircraft, but I will check that comparison and I will share with you.
I've done
Hopefully,
I've been really interested in this
yeah,
because
yeah. I don't
that's
know.
question that question's come up on trips before,
Yeah,
and the calculation went like this. It's about 3.1 tons per person for a cruise that uses the fly cruise model on the Antarctic trips. And then it's about 4.6 tons of carbon per person for crossing the Drake. And they're just looking at carbon expulsion, not the fuel type that's used. So you have to also consider the fuel type that's used, type A in jet fuel. It's cleaner burning. The crossing the Drake, they don't burn the clean fuel the whole way across until they get to the Antarctic waters. So they can switch over to dirtier and thicker fuels. So if you have a trip going across the Drake 2 days one way, 2 days the other way, they're burning dirtier fuel and higher carbon emissions than if you're just going to cross the Drake with a 2-hour flight.
okay, great. That's a great way to answer. I think that answers that one. Thank you, Jeff. Then from Donna, is kayaking included or is an additional cost? There's an additional cost for kayaking, and there's only 20 spots within the. We're running two groups of 20 spots for kayaking. So definitely, when you want to book the kayak, we need to check the availability of the kayak program. And if there's available and your client wants to secure it, I would suggest go ahead and do it when you are booking the cabin. Okay. Then another question about Patagonian and Chilean Fjords voyage is stopping at Cape Horn a possibility? 100%. That's of course weather dependent and what
It's
is the weather and the ocean doing at that specific time. But that's one of the points that are of interest when we are actually doing this expedition. Okay.
Yeah, know that every expedition guide wants to get to Cape Horn, and the leader is going to try to find the best weather window, but I mean, we can't promise it, but it is on the itinerary.
Perfect. Okay. That's the questions that we have today. Um, I want to share a little bit of this information. I think it's worth going through this. This is going into a little bit of detail in terms of Antarctic flights, and what does it mean to have the priority of flights. So up to April 2025, Antarctica 21 has operated 346 flights. So 264 operated on the day that was scheduled. So that's 76.3% success ratio to reach Antarctica on the day that is scheduled. So 26 operated on the day before schedule. So that means that when we say you need to be in Punta Arenas by 2 p.m. on the day one of your expedition, is because if the weather conditions for the following day are not looking great, there's a big chance that you'll fly that night. And here is, the the details about that. So 26 flights operated on the day before that is scheduled. Okay, 40 operated with 1 day of delay, 1 day of delay, so 7.5%. 13 operated with two days of delay, and only 3 operated with 3-day delay. So if by day 3 you haven't actually started your flight by 2 p.m. you haven't started your or takeoff to Antarctica, the trip is canceled. And then you get a refund as well. Okay. So in over 22 years of air cruise operations, only 3 flights have experienced delays extending beyond the day 4. Okay. So the main takeaway here is 76% of the time out of around 40 to 42 expeditions scheduled in a specific season, it will be on the day that is scheduled. So it's a really high number. Okay. So I want to thank everyone to joining to this webinar. Thank you to Jeff, of course, for sharing his knowledge and his experience in Antarctica. Jeff, any final
Thanks,
words?
Ben. No, this has been great. I'm happy to be talking to everybody, and hopefully it's translated into a great time and tell it to everybody.
Perfect. Well, you know where to find me, everyone. If you have any questions, any more details that you need about Antarctica 21, please don't hesitate to contact me. And yeah, we'll be in touch. So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.